Okay, thanks for clicking over through to the screen recording. I appreciate it, and we're going to take a look at GREP for InDesign. I'm going to try and make this as quick as I can, but above all, I hope that it makes sense for you, you understand what we do, and you're able to apply it to what you do every day. Backing up just a little bit, GREP, which has been introduced into InDesign a couple years ago, so it's nothing new, but I kind of feel like it is widely misunderstood. GREP stands for Globally Search Regular Expressions and Print. So what that means for us is we are going to create patterns that GREP will look for within our text, and then it will use that to apply styles. Now, these patterns are expressions that we set up using meta characters, operators, quantifiers, and wildcards, and we're going to go through that right now. So the first place that you will run into GREP in InDesign is here on the GREP, on the Find and Change dialog. You'll see the second tab, which is GREP. So this is, I'm sure you've used it quite often, using these, multiple space to single space, and you look here and find what, and this may look like gibberish to you. And we are going to unpack that today. Not this particular example, but some other examples, and hopefully they will make sense to you. The second place you will run into GREP is under paragraph style. So if you create a new paragraph style, under here you have GREP style. So if we were to set one up, we would come here to text. So this is the text that we are going to target, and you set those up, like I said, through meta characters, operators, quantifiers, and wildcards. So there are like if we want to search for a tab, we just could click right here off of this flyout and say tab, and that is the tab meta character. It is the escape character followed by the character T. Now, escape characters function either of one or two ways. Think of them as a switch, and that switch, by adding that switch, we are going from one mode of text parsing to another mode. So we are saying, take this character, which you normally treat literally as a T, and give it this special meaning. So we will often do that with characters. Then there is other things that we escape, which are things like punctuation, right? So a $sign, for example, we escape that when we want to use an actual literal $sign. We are saying, treat that thing which is normally treated different, treat it normally. So we're either saying take that normal thing and treat it differently, or take that thing that we treat differently and treat it normally. So that is kind of about escape characters. So I have a couple things set up, and we're going to run through these as quickly as we can, and show you some real world examples that I use GREP in. So right here, I do a lot of restaurant work, and I find that I'm laying out the same type of content over and over and over again, right? So this would be a menu listing. We have the name of the item, a description, and a price, right? So let's clear out the price here and apply some quick styles that I have set up. So we got a menu title, and we have a menu listing, right? So we have that styled. Now, there are words in here that maybe we want to treat a little differently. The things that aren't the ingredients of the menu item, right? So the words like and, of, on, with, a, an, even the word served. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to set up an expression that looks for those words, and we are going to tell it to style those differently. So here's how we do it. We don't have to have anything selected. We come in this menu listing dialog and come here to GREP style. We say new GREP style. So here we go, and we are just going to simply type out the words that we want to target, right? And let's back up, a, with, or, of, on, with, well, I already have with, and served, right? And we want to apply it to any of these, so we are telling it to apply it to the word and, or the word an, or the word a, or the word with, and so forth. So in order to tell it that these are options, we need to tell it that these, that these are either or. So we come down here and we say match or, and that drops in this character, which is known as the infix character, right? So that's infix, I-N-F-I-X. So we just drop that in between our different options, right? Deleting the space in between. So there are our different options. The next thing we need to do is we need to tell it that these are whole words, meaning that we have a boundary on either side of those words. So we come down here and we do a location, and that is word boundary. And you see it does escape B, right? So we're telling it not the normal everyday B, but the word boundary, which is identified by the escape character and then B. So we're just going to add that on either side of our words, on, before and after those infix characters. So it gets a little confusing just because it starts to make other words. But if you go slow and just look where these words that you want to isolate are, you're able to set it up pretty quickly. All right, so there we go. We have all our words separated by the infix character and then word boundary set for each of those words. Now we need to choose our style, and I have a style set up here that's new ingredient listing words. Non-ingredient listing words, and so that does not have any font family or font weight. The only thing that we are changing on there is the font style. So it's entirely clear except for font style. We're telling it to pick up the book italic style, and because the rest of our is set in Sentinel book. So I click non-listing words, and if you watch here and I toggle our preview, you see our selected words are now treated differently, right? So trimmed and seared pork belly, green leaf lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise. So you see that those words are treated differently, right? So that's the first thing we're gonna do. Then we wanna talk about price. So, we have a number of ways to describe and to annotate price. We have a dollar sign, right? And then we'll have a digit, and then probably two more decimal places, right? So we have the dollar sign, the digit, a decimal, and then two decimal places. But maybe this is an expensive BLT. It's $19.99. So we want the ability for it to look for any number of characters in front of the decimal place and then two characters after the decimal place. But say this was 99 cents, right? So we could say that there's a dollar sign, a decimal, and then two places after the decimal. Or we could then go back and say this is 99 cents with the actual cent symbol. So our goal here is to set this up to have automatic styling. So here's how we do it. So we come here on menu listing, GREP style, new GREP style, and we are gonna set it up this way. So we want the dollar sign. We saw before, actually we hadn't seen it yet, but we have to escape the dollar sign, right? Because it has special meaning, but we want to tell it we're speaking about the actual dollar sign. And so in this case, treat the thing that is special, treat it normally, right? So the dollar sign. And then we have a digit, right? So we want to come down here to wildcards and say any digit. But this is just one digit, and we could have multiple digits, right? If it's $19.99, or if it's $199, or if it's $1,999, we want it to be able to pick those up. So what we do is we tell it that there is repeat, we tell it one or more times. So there's at least one digit in front of the decimal place and any amount afterward, right? So it adds the plus, and that's what the plus means. It means one or more times. So then if we continue to set this up, we have a period. We need to escape that as well because the period has special meaning. It means any character. But right now we're talking simply about the regular old boring period, right? So we have that set up, and now we are going to, if we think of our pattern, then we have 2 digits after the decimal place. So we could tell it any digit, right? So we could go back and say any digit again, but there's a better way to do that. If we open up a curly brace and we put how many it should look for, in this case it's 2, and close the curly brace, it will look for 2 digits after that decimal place. So we need to tell it a character style to apply. I already have one set up that's called price. And if I toggle our preview, you see now our price is getting the correct styling. So if we're going to go back and set that up for our different ways of annotating a dollar, you could do that really quickly. So we have, again, these are options. So we need to add the infix character, which is the or, and then we are telling it again that there could be a $, and then a decimal point, and then a digit, any digit, 2 times. So that should be working correctly. And if we check it real fast, so as soon as I unvalidate that expression, it changes back to the styling that it previously had. But as soon as I validate that expression, it receives the correct styling. And so, $9.99 works, but we just set up 99 cents to work with the decimal point. So there's one last version of that we need to set up, and that is with the actual cent symbol. So we come here under menu listing, grep, and we add that third option. So we add another infix character, and we are telling it that it is going to look for 2 digits, right? 2 digits and a cent sign, and that needs to be escaped as well. So now, if we hit escape, we have any form of notation covered, right? We have $9.99 or we have 99 cents. They all get styled correctly. So that is working for us fantastically, right? And then the good thing about that, since we've done this work ahead of time, we could then open up a new menu item and style it very quickly. Let's select all those and menu listing, and they automatically pick up the styling that we set up. Now, if you look here, this TM on Old Bay, I like my superscripts just a little smaller and higher than this is. This is set in the font, but we are going to modify it manually very quickly. So I come here to menu listing, grep style, and we are going to tell it to look for a symbol, trademark, and then apply the super, which again is a very simple character style that only has everything else is cleared out except for position is set to super. So if I click that and toggle our preview, you can see that the TM is now being superscripted further. All right, so we have one last thing I'm going to set up for here, and I'm going to show you why. If I extend this out, we see slices there on its own. We call that a runt, right? And I don't like runts because they sit there at the end of the paragraph and they look lonely and they just don't make our type look as nice, right? But so I have a fix for it that will automatically, no matter if I'm not diligent enough to go back and look for them, it can fix those automatically. So we come back here into menu listing. This one's a little more abstract, but it is really pretty simple. So here's how we set it up. We tell it that it is looking for any character, that is the period, right? Any character. And I'm fine with a single word being at the end of a line like that, but I want it to at least be of a certain length. I think the word slices is just too small to sit there by itself. So we're going to tell it to look for up to 10 characters, and we need obviously this is a run, so it's at the end of a paragraph, so we're going to tell it to look for that at the end of a paragraph. So that is a location, right? So we say end of paragraph, and it puts the $sign. That is the meta character for the end of a paragraph. So what this is doing, it is looking for 10 characters at the end of a paragraph. And then what we do is we have another character style set up that is no break. Again, like most of these character styles, there's nothing, everything is cleared except for the no break option is ticked. And what that does is it keeps the selected word together with the previous word. So in this case, it would be dill, right? So if I click no break, toggle our preview, you see now that the word dill has been pulled down to the next line, so it's not by itself, right? So if we close this, and as long as there is less than 10 characters on that last line, it will continue to pull the previous word down for it with it, right? So that way we are never stuck with just one word on its own at the end of a paragraph. That is killing runts. So we set up this menu, the beginnings of this menu, and it should go relatively quickly now because a lot of the work is done ahead of us. Even though if we all realize the power of paragraph and character styles, but you have to continually apply those. And this way, having it set up, they're applied automatically based on the content that we're putting in our text boxes. So moving on, I have another example here that I recently did a timeline which had about 60 elements on the timeline, each of those with a date, and those dates were colored by the decade in which they occurred. And there's 50 of them. It still was a lot of work to set those up, but it wasn't a ton of work. But the tricky part came if I had to color those. I would then have to go through and either do them individually, or if I had set up a character style, I would then at least have to go back and do those, apply those in groups. I would select, I would still probably have to do them individually, or if they were in the character style, I could change the color in the character style, and they would change, but it would still not be automatic. So this way, if we come in here and we have 4 dates here, each of those separated by a decade. And so, all right, we just need to style those, and then we come here and we are going to set it up to have those colors change automatically based on their decade. So here's how we set it up. We come here to GREP style, we say new GREP style, and we are going to analyze our patterns. So we have a 1, a 9, an 8, and then any digit, right? 1, 9, 8, any digit, and we are going to set that to the character style that's 1980s. Again, it's totally, everything is cleared out except for the character color changes. So it's picking up, they're all picking up the color, the common paragraph styles, and then they're each individually getting the character style that just simply changes the color. So we have 1980s, right? So it's looking for a 1, a 9, an 8, and then any digit, and then those will get that that style. So as soon as I click this new GREP style, it's going to apply the previous one. So if you watch 1984, its color changes, and so we're going to do that for the rest of them. We have 199 for the 1990s, and those are the 1990s new GREP style, and we have the 2000s, and those get the 2000s and new GREP style, and that is 201 digits for the 2010s, and that is the 2010s. So now those all color based off of the year that they occurred. So if I add a 1, this goes to this dark gray. If we go back, if I make this 1984 If I make it, 94, it goes back. And if I make this, 2004, it gets the right color. So that is happening for us automatically. Perfect. All right, so now we're going to go on to another example, and so this is going to help us with some superscripting. We we have a technology client who is that requires certain logical elements when it comes to electronics to be styled a certain way. So we have to be very mindful of to get those styled correctly. And sometimes if we copy and paste from Word or a text document, that some of the metadata that describes how that should be formatted is removed. So we have to set up ways to do that automatically for us. So here is how to set this up. It is a little interesting because we do not want to change this entire bit, we just want to change the middle. The complication is that we need to search for that entire thing. So here's how you do it. We need to start a new grep style, and let's unpack this pattern. So we have a character. So we're looking for any character, right? So that is actually, we're looking for a letter. Let's get a little more specific. We're looking for any letter. And but in order to target that, like I said, we are changing we're trying to change just the middle part of this, but we are examining the whole of it. So to do that, we need to set up what's called the positive look behind and positive look ahead. Think of look behind as in we want to target the thing that is behind this, right? So this would be for the front half of this. We want to look what is behind this, and then we're going to set up to look what is in front of this. So we go back. So we need to come here and search for a match, and we are going to have the positive look behind. Like I said, we are looking behind that. So right here before the closing parenthesis, we put what we're trying to target. So we are trying to target a letter, right? Then the middle part is a digit, right? But we need to, in order for this to work, it has to be outside of both the positive look behind and the positive look ahead. So we are going to tell it that we are looking for any digit, right? So this is outside of that previous. The positive look behind is essentially what we call a sub-expression, right? It is a complete expression inside of this larger expression. And then secondly, we are going to then add the positive look ahead. We're looking in front of this, and right here before the closing parentheses, we are telling it any letter, and then we apply our character style, and that is a super. So we are looking behind a character to, and then we are looking in front of character. So we're looking behind the I and in front of the C, and then that is what we're going to modify, but we are searching for that entire sum. And the same thing, because we've abstracted it to letters, it will pick up both on the C and the S version. So if I toggle this, you will see that those automatically are receiving the styling that we want. As soon as we invalidate any of this expression, they return back to their original styling. So it's really powerful, because that way you can look for an entire bit, but then only change part of it. That's something you will use all the time once you really get into, leveraging the power of GREP for your text styling. So The last thing I want to show you real quick is going back to the find and change dialog, and this is kind of similar to the positive look behind and positive look ahead, just because it adds just a little more functionality. So but the thing with find change is it's not automatic. You need to go up there and then find, you set an expression for what you want to find, and then what you want to replace it with. But this is really quite cool. So if I create a new text box in here and we just say Texas Creative, right? Yeah, of course I misspelled. Let's see here. Extender box. Texas Creative. There we go. And we come here to find change. We could search for Texas Creative. This is a simple find change. We've done those all the time. But if we go and we enclose our bits into within parentheses, we are then describing sub-expressions. So we have Texas and Creative, and they're separated here by a space. The good thing about that is now we could refer to them by their index within the larger expression. So Texas becomes sub-expression 1, and Creative becomes sub-expression 2. We reference those by doing the $ and then their index number. So Texas is 1, and then we have Creative being 2. The good thing about that is we can do some replacements with those. Like say we wanted to flop their order, we could then do 2 and 1, and then if I hit change, you'll see they swap positions. So this is kind of a simple example of this, but it's a really powerful tool to be able to break up a query into bits and then process those bits within the find change dialog. So that is this functionality in the find change dialog that is really neat. So that's about it. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, hit the comments below. Leave me a message if you have any GREP formatting things that you've been trying to work through and having difficulties. Shoot us a line. I'd love to help you with it. So thanks again.